On this episode of the Mothman and the Bible Belt podcast, the West Virginia legislature just wrapped up another session. This year, they amped up their attacks on trans youth and tried to ban drag performers from performing in front of minors. They also pushed through a bill that allows religious zealots to exempt themselves from laws and policies they deem to be an overburden to their religious beliefs. To discuss this insanity, I have Kasha Snyder-McDonald, the founder and president and CEO of the West Virginia Black Pride Foundation. Snyder-McDonald also talks about her newish LGBTQ advocacy organization and oppression and violence against black trans people. Coming up next.
Welcome to the Mothman in the Bible Belt podcast with your host, Buck Fantastic.
Girl Scout cookies.
When one talks about Black Lives Mattering, black trans lives tend to be left out of the discussion. The vast majority of trans people being attacked and murdered in the United States tend to be black and brown. According to a recent report from the Trevor Project, 40% of black transgender and non-binary young people reported nearly double the rate of having been physically threatened or harmed due to their sexual orientation or gender identity, compared to 22% of black LGBTQ cisgender young people. Also in the report, 1 in 4 black transgender or non-binary young people reported a suicide attempt last year. Adding fuel to the fire, the West Virginia legislature have been going after trans folk like crazy the past few years, first targeting their choice of bathrooms, then going after them competing in sports. This year they passed House Bill 2007, which bars West Virginia physicians from providing gender reassignment surgery to underage trans persons and limits who can receive hormones under the age of 18. House Bill 3042, which exempts bigots from following laws or policies if they interfere with their religious beliefs, also passed the West Virginia legislature. The LGBTQ community and religious minorities are likely to be impacted by the passage of House Bill 3042. Besides running trans people from the Mountain State, the GOP-led West Virginia legislature also attempted to run drag queens and kings out as well. Two bills, Senate Bill 103 and Senate Bill 253, targeting drag performers performing in public in front of minors, died silent deaths. This episode of the Mothman of the Bible Belt podcast is dedicated to talking about black trans lives. Many of you may know my guest, Kasha Snyder-McDonald, as her trophy-snatching drag persona, Akasha Karmichael. But on this podcast episode, we get to know the woman behind the legendary queen. Snyder-McDonald is the president and CEO of the West Virginia Black Pride Foundation. She dishes on those discriminatory bills, speaks her truth about violence and discrimination against black trans persons, and why she felt compelled to create a new LGBTQ advocacy organization in West Virginia to help the black community. Join me, your host, Buck Fantastic, for another exciting episode of the Mothman in the Bible Belt podcast. It's eclectic chit-chat of otherworldly origins. Kasha, how are you doing?
I am doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. You've been doing drag for nearly 2 decades as Akasha Karmichael. What got you into it?
Just the act of being able to feel like I can be somebody that I've always wanted to be on the inside, but can never really be because, not being allowed to be that person. And so, yeah, that's how I got into it.
How would you describe your style of drag?
Eye-catching. It's very fun, very classy, but still sassy.
I can attest you know how to work a stage. I saw you a few years back, and you were really working it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
How many trophies have you snatched?
Oh Lord, I don't like to brag, but I've been blessed to have several different titles throughout my career of drag and female impersonation. So if I can say that what I have hanging up in my house on my mantle, I would probably have 10 there right now.
You've been
Just
doing this for like nearly 2 decades, right?
yeah, just about. I actually started drag in 2009, 2000, yeah, 2009.
I'm a little off.
Yeah. I was Mrs. Pride of West Virginia in 2010.
You auditioned for RuPaul's Drag Race too, didn't you?
Yeah, several times, but without succeeding. But no one gives up at all. I mean, there's all kinds of little things. I'm going to let these little girls write me out just yet.
Don't. I mean, it's sad there's no representation from West Virginia.
There
Now,
isn't.
Priscilla tried as well, and she didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And both of you are two top-notch drag queens.
Thank you. People would tell if people would reach out to RuPaul's Drag Race and them and tell them about themselves, and maybe we'll get some West Virginia representation. But you know how that goes.
You gotta wonder if RuPaul has a vendetta against us, you know?
Well, I said it. They got Pork Chop Parker, but they think that because they got somebody from Virginia, like India Farah, Virginia and West Virginia are not the same things, and everybody that's not from here did not realize that.
Yeah. So you identify as a trans woman, correct?
Yes, I do.
What sets a drag queen apart from a trans woman?
Their everyday to day life. This is who I am. This is who I always known that I was. I could never really be myself at one point in time because I didn't know who myself was. A drag queen is someone who is doing a character, but also takes off their mask and their character at the end of the day and at the end of the evening or whenever they finish entertaining. A trans person is who they are. We live our life as the gender that we believe in our soul that we are. And that's pretty much the difference.
What was your transition process like?
It was rough. I come from a very what do you call it? A very religious, militant family on so many different sides. I come from a black, of course, a black family, which is really, really, really being gay in the black community is bad, being bad enough, let alone being transgender. So, and it would probably have been easier if I was a transgendered person being female to male transition, but I think it's even harder when it's male to female transitions.
How did living your truth impact your family and relationships?
I lost a lot of them. People really didn't want me around. They still love me and they're always gonna be my family, but at the end of the day, like I know that they feel embarrassed for me, which they don't even need to be because I'm not embarrassed for me. But I think that they feel embarrassed for me. They can sometimes play like they really want to know and be inquisitive, but at the end of the day, I think like when I'm not there, they go back to calling me the name they used to know me as and stuff like that. So yeah, my transition isn't serious to them, so it's okay.
But it
I
was
mean, it's not
okay.
okay.
But it was okay for you to be gay, but it wasn't okay for you to be trans.
Yes, that part. Yeah, definitely that part.
That's sad. Kasha, you are the founder and president of the West Virginia Black Pride Foundation, a newish LGBT advocacy organization founded in 2021. With the West Virginia legislature going after trans folks in the bathroom, on the playing field, and in the classroom, have y'all seen hate crimes increase among trans people in the Mountain State?
I actually had an instance in the bathroom where I was using the bathroom and a security guard came and knocked on the door and told me that needed to get out of the bathroom. And that would, but and I was told I was going to get an apology and all that. He didn't put his hands on me physically, no, but it was a mental, emotional um, issue that took place. I have known there's other people. It just depends on the level that you are in your transition, because some of people that aren't considered passing have it harder than people who are considered passing.
That's
So
awful. Was this in
yeah,
Charleston?
oh, this is everywhere, especially, but you got to think of where the demographics, and Charleston, even as LGBTQ plus friendly we are, and as more evolved we become, we are still a very red state, and we still have a lot of hatred towards LGBTQ plus community, because it's just inbred and grown. It's in there, and until we start finding a commonality and a common ground, it will always continue to be there.
That's true. What made you decide to create the West Virginia Black Pride Foundation?
With all the discrimination going on in the world, Black Lives Mattered was a really big um, thing that was going on, an issue that was going on in the world, and the I've noticed that we was all screaming Black Lives Matter, and that at the same time there was Black trans women was being targeted heavily, just as much as other Black people, but nobody was screaming out, nobody was talking about it, and it was just really disheartening. It was like my own community as a Black community wasn't screaming. My community as a LGBTQ plus community wasn't screaming. And and we were needing somebody to speak for us. We was needing someone to stand up for us. And so I found the need to not only stand up for me and transgender Black women, but also the Black community as a whole, because nobody speaks up for us. We're always told to be whitewashed and try to fit the mold so we can be accepted and get along. And we have a whole different unique culture that should be celebrated and highlighted, and give people a chance to enjoy the Black culture and learn from it, because we contribute so much to society, and we contribute so much to West Virginia.
Amen. Did you feel representation from the Black LGBT community was missing within organizations like Fairness West Virginia and the Rainbow Pride?
Well, yes, because nobody can really speak to Black LGBTQ problems, unlike Black LGBTQ persons, so, and people of color. So when people was always trying to reach out to the Black LGBTQ persons, it was always, they didn't know where to really go. They was going to the NAACP, but the NAACP really don't have a certain segment for LGBTQ people of color. They was going to Fairness. They was going to Rainbow Pride of West Virginia. Everybody can try to go and find information, but nobody really had a home for Black LGBTQ plus people and people of color. And so therefore that was the need. And it was a need that should have been addressed years ago. People should have been done this, but it's started now. And so that's why.
Yeah, according to HRC, 32 transgender and gender nonconforming Americans were killed last year, and 6 have been murdered this year so far. A great deal of the trans people who were murdered are Black and brown. How does society explain this?
They don't explain it. That's the issue. They don't explain it because they don't care. We're not important. Black trans women are the new Black people. And when I say that, I mean Black people have always been the lowest people on the totem pole. Now Black trans people are the lowest people on the totem pole. And society does not care. If they cared, they would be screaming Black trans life matters as well, but they don't. If they cared, they would be making sure that they would be fighting for Black trans women and Black trans youth to be able to do the things that they need to do. If they cared, they would be looking out for us and protecting us, but they don't care. And we see that each and every day. And they show us by not protecting us.
Were you friends with Barbara Bobby Bell by chance?
No, I wasn't friends. I mean, I knew them through people passing, but wasn't really friends with them.
I was just curious. Last year was the 20th anniversary of her murder, and people swept it under the rug at the time. I looked here recently. There was just like one AP article, and that's the Charleston Gazette Mail didn't even write about it.
Mm.
It's
As they
sad.
won't, as they won't, and that's the thing. It's just that there's so many different things that they have to fight about. But of course, they're going to make sure that they tell you about the police officer got killed. They're going to make sure to tell you about the little white girl that got killed. Nobody's negating that the fact that you shouldn't talk about those people, but you should talk about and highlight everybody else as well. But like I said before, Black trans women are the lowest people on the totem pole.
She was my neighbor. I grew
So
up with her. Her mom and her sister lived across the street from me. People don't talk about the details, but what happened on October 17th, 2002, Barbara Bell was walking down McCorkle Avenue in Kanawha City in Charleston when an SUV carrying National Guardsmen Robert Piscopo and Michael Moss drove by. Piscopo took Bell's purse. She held onto it for dear life. They drug her down McCorkle Avenue. They drove over her. She broke her pelvis and 2 weeks later developed a blood clot and died. Piscopo appeared in court in his military attire. That was the most messed up thing about that. I saw that on TV as if it was making what he did honorable. But both men, they originally got lengthy sentences. They got off early. And that's really
yeah.
it's beyond messed up, you know? Do we have this happening in West Virginia still?
Well, I don't know per se. I do know that there's a lot of trans people that do hide, and so it's it's it does happen. You don't hear about it, but there's a lot of trans women that do get hurt, but you just don't hear about it.
And you should.
Yes, yes, you should. Yes, you should.
This year, the West Virginia legislature went after drag queens and trans youth. Yesterday, Saturday, House Bill 2007, which bars West Virginia physicians from providing gender assignment surgery and hormones to persons under the age of 18, passed the state Senate. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, we actually did get a clause or an amendment into that where they did allow them to get some hormone therapy. So I mean, we're still not giving them a cookie for that, but they are hiding behind their religious beliefs and not realizing that if they were really truly as religious as they say they were, then they would know that God frowns upon how ugly and nasty that they are being towards the LGBTQ plus community. Jesus wept because he was sad of his people suffering. Do you see these people who are making these rules and legislation suffering? No, the people that are suffering are the LGBTQ plus youth and the kids. Those are the people that are suffering. So if we want to use and weaponize the Bible and say that it's their Bible and their morals, Jesus would be crying right now for the way that these people are treating the suffering LGBTQ plus community. Why are they thinking that we're harm to anybody? Because we're not. Why are they thinking that? Why are they thinking that we're a threat? They're not suffering. They're not being threatened. They're doing the threatening. They're making the suffering occur. So, like I said, I'm tired of them living behind and weaponizing their Bible belt pushing. Yes, that.
How many hurdles do you have to go through to get those hormones?
Well, now here in West Virginia, if you're above age, you don't have very many hurdles. That's a great thing. But being underage and being a youth, it's kind of hard to get those. It really is. I mean, I've heard stories from my friends. I've had friends and children tell me different things about how it's been hard. But hopefully, we're going to find things and to put in place where we can help the youth and make sure that they get the affirming things that they do need.
Are they likely going to have to go across state borders to get the hormones?
It just depends on what they got to do. We're a firm believer of doing what we got to do, and whatever it takes. So, nobody's actually going to say, hey, yeah, we're going to go over here to Venezuela and get, or Mexico and get some. They're going to tell you they're going to do all that. But if they got to do what they got to do, they're going to do what they got to do, I'm sure.
Do you think the governor's going to sign that bill?
I don't know. The governor's level, everybody's trying to everybody's trying to follow the suit. And what we need is West Virginia to be leaders and stand outside of this Republican hateful suit. That's what the issue is. And if they can stay out of this whole narrow-minded, evil, be hateful to other people that do not look and act like you, we would be such a better West Virginia. We need to stand out and be a better representation, but they don't. They much rather be a follower. Who wants to be who can be the biggest follower? I'm so embarrassed. They should be embarrassed of themselves.
Are many trans youth actually transitioning as teens in West Virginia, or is that a rarity?
No, honey. There's a lot of trans youth, honey. But like I said, there's that. It's scary to be trans and open and out because you can be a target any day. And if you really, like I said, if you're trying to actually transition and you're not passing and you're trying to transition, you can be a target. People could throw cans at you. I've had milkshakes thrown at my sisters right beside me. I've had pop bottles thrown at us. There's been rocks and bricks thrown at my sisters. I mean, like, people's gotten beat up walking down the street. People's gotten jumped in the alley. People's gotten jumped walking through the park. I mean, yes, it happens.
God, it's awful. Can trans folks in general, old or young, even get the bottom procedure in West Virginia at the moment?
Right now, they're working on different things that we can and can't do. There are some doctors that are accepting. There are some places that aren't. But when it comes to bottom surgery, I think it's still because I haven't done my research completely on the doctors in West Virginia, but a lot of them don't know how to do the surgery. So when it comes to that reconstruction surgery of the bottom surgery, it's you usually tend to go out of town for that.
I was just curious. Are you concerned that the bathroom bill is going to be resurrected as a result of HB 2007 passing?
Well, hopefully not. And like I said, 9 times out of 10, it's if anything, we just hope that it doesn't. We can sit here every day and hope and pray that none of these bills pass and none of these bills do. But all we can do is just exactly that, is hope and pray. You can ask me if this is what do I feel, but at the end of the day, it's going to happen either way. If we scream to the top of our heads, the thing is they have to change. Their mentality and the way that they think has to change. It takes their kids, their kids' friends, their church, their fellow friends and people that they hang out with. It takes them to change their mentality to make these other people stop thinking like bigots and racists and hateful people, and then we can have a better West Virginia.
Amen. 13 state legislatures have crafted bills going after public drag shows, including West Virginia. Tennessee recently passed a law restricting adult cabaret performances, including drag shows, on public property or in locations where they can be viewed by minors. First-time penalties include a fine up to $2,500 and or up to a year in jail. Repeat offenders face a felony charge, punishable by up to 6 years in jail. West Virginia Senator Eric Tarr's anti-drag bill, Senate Bill 103, prohibits public funding of drag shows in West Virginia and prohibits minors from being involved in or attending drag shows. The penalty for parents who allow their kids to attend public drag shows or participate in them include requiring the offending parent or parents to complete parenting classes, substance abuse counseling, and or anger management counseling. And the second bill that's out there, West Virginia Senators Mike Azinger and Robert Carnes, their anti-drag bill, Senate Bill 253 makes it a criminal offense for a person to engage in an adult cabaret performance where it may be viewed by a minor. Cabaret includes female and male impersonators in that bill. The penalty for first-time offenders is a misdemeanor. The second offense is a felony, up to a $25,000 fine or up to 5 years in the state correctional facility. Do you think the West Virginia legislature going after public drag performances will lead to the end of pride across the state since it's such a huge part of the culture
No,
and these visibility events?
hell no. We'll just find private events and private property to where we can hold our big gala events. There's lots of land in West Virginia. Did we not know this? We'll just find big pieces of land that are privately owned that we can have our big Waha festivals and we can still do our things. So at the end of the day, they can try to keep us out. But there's one thing about the LGBTQ plus community is we are so freaking resilient and so resourceful. We will always make it happen no matter what.
How do you feel about them associating adult cabaret performances with drag? Most
Anything they
drag
can
around
do.
here is PC.
Anything they can do to make to be bigots and hateful and nasty. That's it. That's all it is. Like I said once again, I can it's all about bigotry and hatred. All these bills is based on hatred and bigotry. I don't like the way you look. I don't like the way you dress. I don't like drag queens. I don't like trans queens. You don't, just so what? I don't like your fat belly. I don't like your ugly hair. I don't like that you have freckles in one tooth. I don't like this about you. But at the end of the day, I have to still live with you because and be civil because you are a fellow West Virginian. And that's what we do as West Virginians is be civil to each other and act like we have some damn sense. But for some strange reason, since some person got into office, they decided that we have to follow suit and be bigots and racist and carry our racism and our bigotry on our sleeve. And that's the issue. All these bills are designed to hate and to just be bigots. Every last one of them. Every single thing that is hate. All we have been doing in West Virginia is fighting to keep hate. That's all they want to do. Then we got this perverted marriage law. What is going on with us in West Virginia? We are really being the backwards hillbilly people that they see, that people think that we freaking are, and we're not. We're not that. But these old Republican white men want to sit back and be nasty, perverted bigots. And that's the issue. And that's why we have this problem. Sorry, I get very passionate.
Tell it like it is.
Mhm.
Do you know a lot of LGBT people that have left the state because of the legislature?
Yes. All kinds of LGBTQ plus people keep leaving and they keep leaving. They keep leaving. Look at West Virginia. We got more dilapidated houses. We're the lowest at everything. The only thing we're high at is drugs and hatefulness and bigotry. Like, are you kidding me? We're not high at anything but hatefulness and bigotry and ugliness and dilapidated buildings. That's the only thing we're high at. We're not high in education. We're not high in healthcare. We're not high in the most pleasant place to live in the world. We're last, pretty much. They need to wake up or there won't be a West Virginia.
According to LGBT advocacy organization GLAAD, last year there were 141 protests and attacks on drag events on a national level, most of them against the story hours and brunches. Why do people feel threatened by drag queens reading to children? I mean,
For
what's the threat?
some reason, they think drag queens is immoral, reading to children, even though we can't let our children go to the bathroom at church because there's nasty ass priests that are out here trying to molest your child. But you have a problem with drag queens reading to your kids. We have statistics proving how nasty priests and preachers are out there. Not all of them. We ain't gonna put them all out there, but a big majority of them that are out here molesting kids and trying to do nasty things. But then we want to pinpoint on drag queens because they say it's nasty or it's immoral. They're bigots. They're hypocrites. They want to control you. They want to do anything that they can to control you. And that's how I feel about that. Shit, I'm tired of this bigotry. They're just They're showing their true colors. Now that they got a sign, they got the okay to be bigots. They got the okay to be bigots in public. They ain't stopped being bigots. They ain't stopped trying to take things. They ain't stopped trying to hurt people. They ain't trying to help people. Ask us what one thing that they've done to help people. Nothing. Everything that they've done has been to take, and to hurt and to divide. Nothing has been to bring us together. Nothing has been to help the West Virginians. It's all been to take. Tell me one thing that they've done. I will wait. But guess what? You won't be able to tell me because they have it and they know it. And everybody in West Virginia knows it. And if they don't know it, then they need to know it.
During the 2023 West Virginia legislative session, the West Virginia legislature passed House Bill 3042, which exempts bigots from following laws or policies if they interfere with their religious beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
This has the potential to hurt a lot of LGBT persons and religious minorities. Are you concerned?
The West Virginia is a bunch of bigots. Black people's been dealing with this forever. White LGBTQ plus people are just now getting to adjust to what Black people's been dealing with forever. So I'm used to being discriminated against, honey. It's not no. I'm used to being that somebody's religious beliefs being used as an excuse to not serve my black tail. So yeah, no, it don't surprise me.
You were recently at the state capitol. I think I saw a picture of you a week or so ago.
Mm-hmm.
What was the atmosphere like down there? Did any policymakers care to listen to you?
A couple of policymakers did care to listen to me. Kayla Young, which is the House of Delegates, and Danielle Walker, both of them. Mike Pushkin as well. There's a couple of different lawmakers that actually reached out to me and tried to speak to me and make sure that my voice was heard. There were a couple of lawmakers that were bigoted outright in public, but you got to ignore ignorance when ignorance is looking you right in your face at times.
She just recently died. I thought I'd ask you about the Reba impersonator, Coti Collins. Did you know her?
Yes, I knew Coti. We got to perform together several times. We were actually in the same circle. I wasn't like her best friend or anything, but I've had the joy of meeting with her, judging pageants on the same panel with her. And like I did say, entertaining next to her. So Coti was a really good inspiration to those of who knew her here in West Virginia, and to Reba McEntire herself. So Coti was a good person. We lost a very good, strong entertainer for West Virginia.
I want to talk about someone who is a legend, which you worked with back in the day, which wasn't so long ago. I think she's only been dead like 5 years now. Michelle St. James.
Now that was my baby. That was my girl. That was my bestie. That was like, she wasn't my best friend, but like we worked at two different bars. And with us working at two different bars, we were always put into competition in the LGBTQ plus community. And Michelle was always just really sweet and kind. And she always made sure that I was always welcomed in her circle. And even though she was from another bar. So like, I could not sing the praises high enough about Michelle St. James because she was just everything. She was a class act. She was one of a kind. There will never and could never be another Michelle St. James, ever. Nobody can try to do it. Often imitated, but never duplicated.
Has anybody came along in the world of drag that you think has came close?
No, hell no. I just said often imitated, never duplicated.
Now, do you plan a year ahead of time when you do a Pride event?
No, I'm spontaneous, honey. I'm a true entertainer. I'm spontaneous. I know what the crowd wants from me. They want me to entertain them, and that's what I do. I come to entertain you. So I don't need a year to prepare. I need a day, if that. I literally don't prepare what I'm going to do every Friday. I pack a bag of wonderful little outfits, and then I go to work on Friday. I take my flash drive, and then I do songs that I know are going to be entertaining to my crowd and to my guests. I do my job.
Do you always pick current music, or do you go back
Oh
a
no.
decade or two?
I pick all kinds of music. I like soul music. I like um um theatrical music. I like theater music. I like show tunes. I mean, I try to be eclectic and I try to pick out all kinds of different things. I don't want people to think I'm a one trick pony. So I try to do all kinds of different things and don't just put me in a box because I'm a black girl.
A few years back, actor and RuPaul's Drag Race alum Willem pulled a dildo out of his ass at Wigstock. Most drag queens don't do such vulgar things. Do you think this is contributing to drag queen hatred because of one person doing something nasty?
Yeah, it is. I ain't gonna lie. It's because sometimes you just gotta not. Sometimes you just gotta not show your ass. Sometimes people just ain't.
Literally.
Sometimes I mean it's one thing to be funny amongst your friends and stuff like that, but it's one thing to get it publicized and put, especially if you're somebody with a big platform like that. You have a big platform, you know better than to do something that you know everybody in America was going to hear about. So that's just tacky, tired, and tasteless. And you're the reason why people are trying to say the things that they're trying to say about us and the LGBTQ plus community. Even though you are valid in anything and everything that you might do, there is just a time and a place for everything. And that's called decorum, baby. And you need a godson.
My coworker told me about that, and I didn't believe her.
Yeah.
She's a heterosexual, straight white woman. Her and her daughters love drag. I didn't
Mhm.
believe it, so I went and looked and saw it on YouTube, and I'm like, oh my god, how could Lady Bunny be okay with this? You know,
Yeah. I don't play that. I don't get down with that. That's to me, it's nasty. I mean, don't get
it
me wrong.
is.
You can do that. You get like there's a time and a place to do that. There's just a time and a place to do that. And it's what you think of yourself. Like, like don't get me wrong. I got girlfriends that do drag numbers and they have dildos and stuff all the time. But it's a time and a place to do that. You're not going to do it at Drag Queen Story Hour. You're not going to do that like in front of a whole bunch of people where it's going to ruin your publicity. Not necessarily ruin your publicity, but then again, there are people out there who feel that any press is good press. So, you know,
That was not good at all.
hey, tomato, tomato. You say not, she might say different.
How do you feel about this year's queens on RuPaul's Drag Race?
I don't.
There's not a whole lot that impressed me. Last year, there's just two.
I don't because I know I can be better than half of them, and they wouldn't have never allowed me to get away with half of the stuff that them girls are doing now. And I didn't get on the show. I'm not bitter. I'm just observing. But it is what it is.
What does the
I
future hold for LGBT West Virginians if the West Virginia legislature keeps up their attacks?
We're always going to be resilient. We're always going to fight. No matter how much they attack us, they've been attacking gay people for years, for our whole entire life since we knew we were gay. So it's just another fight that we're going to have. And please believe these old bigoted ass people will be gone, and then when they're gone, other people will take their place. And I might not be here, you might not be here, but I'm sure West Virginia will change one day because we already are changing. All kinds are welcome in all parts of West Virginia, and people scream that very loudly. So it's okay. It's just a hurdle, honey. If any kind of legislation that they try to put out there, it is nothing but a hurdle to an LGBTQ plus person. That's all it is. And guess what? We jump hurdles with ease.
What's the legacy of Kasha Snyder-McDonald when you're dead, gone, over with? What will be your legacy?
Well, oh, sorry, apologize. I would like to think that my foundation, West Virginia Black Pride Foundation, will be my legacy. I would like to think that it will live on and that other people will make it flourish when I'm dead and gone. I would like to think that people knew that I fought for everybody because I really truly do care about my fellow West Virginian. I chose my family. I chose to be here. I chose to march the streets and I chose to fight for West Virginia. So I just hope that my legacy says that Pasha chose to fight for West Virginia and she meant it.
Do you have any fundraisers or anything coming up you want to promote?
We have our barbecue. barbecue grand opening because we are the first LGBTQ plus center. We are having the first LGBTQ plus center in West Virginia ever. So it's called the center, and you could come here. You can get some hygiene. You can get some. We have a clothing closet hygiene. We have all kinds of things to offer. We have an adult literacy program. So on the 25th, you'll be able to come in and check out and see what all kinds of things we offer here at West Virginia Black Pride Foundation. We are also having the first ever Black West Virginia Black Pride Festival at Magic Island on Juneteenth, which is a significant, well, not Juneteenth, it's actually June the 11th, which is for Juneteenth holiday. It's a significant holiday for Black people. But that's another big thing that we're having soon. So it's going to be a really West Virginia Black Pride Foundation. We're just always out here helping the community. We're always trying to make sure that if you need something, we're here to help you. Like I said, we have a clothing closet, we have ready to work program, we have mentor program, we have a reach one, teach one program. We have all kinds of different resources. Like I said, socks, underwear, pampers, diapers, toiletries, clothes, shoes, socks, you name it, anything we can do to help you. We can't do utilities and things like that right now, but right now we can do resources and stuff for people. So, this is West Virginia Black Pride. So we always got things, and you can always look at our website at wbbpfoundation.com and find out and see if we're going to be having any activities or any events on there too.
With all the violence aimed at Black trans persons in the United States, it's very important that we listen to their stories, shine a light on their suffering, and work together with the Black trans community to end discriminatory laws, policies, and practices that allow for their oppression. Trans people, regardless of the color of their skin, are valid and deserve the same respect and dignity provided to everyone else in this country. I want to thank my special guest, Kasha Snyder-McDonald, for talking about Black trans lives and her organization, the West Virginia Black Pride Foundation. If you want to connect with Kasha, check out the West Virginia Black Pride Foundation's website at www.wvbpfoundation.com. For Mothman in the Bible Belt podcast outlet updates, guest bios and episode breakdowns, and direct links to social media, please catch us on the web at www.mothmaninthebiblebelt.com. Thanks for listening.